Hello, my dear Franken friends, and welcome to Spookyou, your one-stop shop for all things ghastly and ghoulish. I'm your host, Barnabas Vixen. How horrible of you to join us. Curl up, invite your friends, and by all means, make sure those lights are out. That way it's harder to tell what may or may not be lurking around you. There's nothing like a good mystery, am I right? Tonight will feature a singular tale of devilish design, curated by those wicked weavers of woe. And without further ado, allow me to pass the reins on over to our vivacious voiceover virtuoso, Trey Falco, for tonight's sinister story. Please keep all limbs and side covers at all times. We wouldn't want anything to go missing now, would we?
I awoke with a start. I heard something outside of my tent. God, this solo camping trip was a terrible idea. This can't happen. Please, I thought. I opened the flap of my tent and peeked outside. As I looked left, I heard something to my right. I quickly retreated back into my tent. When I worked up the nerve to look outside again, I saw a raccoon. I felt a combination of relief and embarrassment. I pulled back into the tent, went to sleep. I woke up the next morning and stretched. I exited my tent and my jaw dropped at the sight of my campsite. Everything was destroyed. My food was torn open, even though I had suspended it a few feet above the ground to keep it away from animals. The windshield of my truck was shattered and one of the tires was flat. The hood was compressed into a crater. I looked around to see if the perpetrator was still around, but saw nothing. I decided this trip was over and got in my truck to leave. I turned the key, but the truck just wouldn't start. I went into my tent to find my cell phone, but it was dead. Great, I thought. Now what am I supposed to do? I decided I'd just walk along the path through the forest. I grabbed my wallet and my phone and left the site, remembering to come back for my truck. As I walked through the General Andrews State Forest, I was enjoying the scenery, until I tripped on a tree root. I fell and rolled over a steep rocky ledge. I landed on the ground hard enough to knock myself unconscious. I woke up that night and looked around. I was lying in the nook of two large tree branches. I didn't land in a tree, did I? I wondered. I remembered tumbling down onto the ground and nothing after that. Something was definitely wrong. I jumped out of the tree and landed on my feet. I looked around to assess my surroundings. I looked to my right and saw the rocky ledge I'd fallen down. I turned to walk in that direction when I heard something behind me. I spun around to face it. It was another raccoon. And that's when it hit me. Something long, thin, and powerful landed on my back. It wrapped its hairy, filthy arms around my face. I grabbed it by the hands and managed to throw it over my head. It turned to face me and got my first look at its face. I nearly vomited. It looked like a half-shaven monkey, except it was around 5.5 feet tall. Its proportions looked to be of that of a human, and it had the sexual organs of a man. It had sharpened teeth and long, wiry fingers. But it had one eye, the other socket empty and full of dirt. Its lone eye was almost human-like, but the iris was red and it was bloodshot. It shrieked, giving me the full view of its many teeth, and as it closed its mouth, some of the teeth punctured its tongue. This obviously angered it even further, and it shrieked again, launching blood into my face. I turned and sprinted towards the ledge as fast as I could, but I discovered that it was not the same ledge. I heard a river nearby and turned in that direction. As I reached the river, I dove in, and the creature refused to follow me into the water. I started swimming south, but the thing followed me, swinging along the branches like an ape. I happened to come across this empty cabin. I went inside and locked the door. I dared to look out the window and saw it perched on a branch no more than 10 feet from me. It was then that I discovered that it had bitten me in the shoulder, and it was bleeding rather profusely. I went to clean up and found that one of my ribs was fractured. Whether this is from my tumble down the ledge or when the creature attacked me, I may never know. It just watched me, and I watched it. We watched each other for at least an hour. When it didn't attack, I decided if I went to sleep, it would most likely be gone by morning. I closed the curtains and laid down on the couch. It took half an hour, but I finally fell into slumber.
Pardon my ill-timed interruption of this terrible tale, but I've been informed by the powers that be that our narrator has been sucked into a wormhole. While our Neutronian technicians work on fishing him out, quite literally bait and all, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about one of our sponsors, Katarina's Potion Emporium. Whether you're brewing up a powerful love potion to ensnare that special someone, or a potent drought of imminent death, you'll find all the ingredients your shriveled up little heart desires. Don't fancy yourself an apothecary? No worries! Katarina has lined the shelves with her very own concoctions, at affordable rates. And right now, if you scream Spookyou into the cold night air around midnight, you'll receive Katarina's deepest thanks with your first purchase. Hurry now, this deal won't last long. Now I've been told that our narrator is back behind the mic and, mostly, no worse for wear. We return you to your story already in progress.
I awoke in the morning remembering the night before. I walked to the window and threw open the curtains. It was still there. In fact, it hadn't moved a muscle. As I write this in a notebook I found to record the experience in case I don't survive, it watches me through the window and I begin watching it. I've named it The Looker. We're locked in a deadly staring contest, a waiting game. I truly believe that I will not win, as I haven't eaten in 2 days. It's only a matter of time before it wins, before it gets its way. It can tell I'm close to breaking, and that's when it smiles. It has a sadistic grin on its face. I've been looking at that smile for hours. That face is driving me to insanity. I have no choice. I have to find a way to escape her, or a way to kill it. And that's when I turn to find a weapon. There are more, dozens of them. They appear nearly identical except for the fact that all of these have 2 eyes, but each eye is a different color. I turn to look out the window again and jump back. Its face is mere inches from the window. I scream, the first vocal sound I've made in days. All at once, the creatures inside jump at me. The looker breaks through the window. I try to fight, but it's no use. They restrain me on the ground, and the looker steps above me. He watches for a moment. Then he slowly extends his long, thin hand towards my face. I struggle against them, but to no avail. He slides his middle finger into the outside of my eye socket and begins to lever on it until it starts to bulge. I scream at the top of my lungs for someone, anyone, to help me. He pops my eyeball out of my head. I'm forced to watch as he pushes it into the filthy, empty hole in his own. He blinks over it a few times and the eye begins to move in sync with his red one. He has stolen my eye for his own use. He begins to walk away, but before he and the others leave, he turns to me. In his own eye, he shows me an image of him in the same position as I currently am. He pities me and offers me a hand. I take it, and he pulls me to my feet. I now live with this tribe of 8 men. That's what they are, men. Women are not allowed to join this tribe. Once the ritual has been performed, they are killed. They showed me a small collection of deceased women in the bathroom. They were hidden behind the curtain of the shower. How had I not smelled them? All around me have been through the same fate as me. They are teaching me to hunt and climb, and they have sharpened my teeth. I discarded my clothing long ago, and my body hair has grown at a surprising rate to a substantial thickness. I'm beginning to resemble those around me. I leave this information to the next person who wanders to this cabin, as it will do you no good. If you are reading this, then I am watching you. Just look out the window and see. I'm right there, on the branch. It's time for a little staring contest. Just don't make a sound, because when you do...
I'm Sergeant Brad Tompkins of the Willow River Police Department. This journal was discovered inside of an abandoned cabin in General Andrews State Park. A woman had contacted emergency services when she saw something that resembled half monkey, half man. The operator heard a scream, and then a few minutes later, the call was disconnected. When I arrived, I found a cell phone smashed on the ground. In the bathroom, we discovered a small pile of deceased women in a tub. There was something strange about these women. Each of them was missing an eye. We went to examine the scene when I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. Outside of the window, perched on a branch, was an ape-like creature.
Welcome back, my darling deviants. Well, tell me, did you enjoy that twisted tale? Of course you did. I knew you had that air about you, that hunger for the horrific and the macabre. So, did we spook you? If not, then file a complaint with our complaint department detailing all accounts of non-spookiness you found in this video, and we'll get back to you in 2 to 3 millennia. Give or take a business eon or two. However, if you've enjoyed what you've just heard this evening, then make sure you leave a like on this video and annihilate that subscribe button. Such a small act of obedience is exactly what we need to put the food on the table around here. There's only so many days we can have refried kidney and toe jam hash before I'm absolutely sick of it. Spoiler alert, that ship sailed long ago. Now, I must bid you adieu. I've many things to take care of, and this outro is eating into my day off. Run along now. Have no fear, we'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday to bring you another terrible tale. Go forth, my ghastly gang, and stay spooky.